You don't need to prepare for this. You don't need to get into the right position, and you don't need to be calm before this can work. This is not something you have to do well. There is no correct way to listen, and nothing here requires effort. You can simply allow the sound of this voice to be present, not as something important, just as something that is there. Nothing needs to be held in place. Nothing needs to be maintained. You might notice that your mind is already doing something. Thinking, commenting, repeating familiar patterns. You don't need to interrupt that. You don't need to slow it down. You don't need to understand it. Thoughts can continue in the background. They don't have to leave. They don't have to resolve. You're not trying to arrive at silence. You're not trying to reach a blank state. This is about allowing things to be unfinished. If there is tension in your body, you don't need to relax it intentionally. It can soften on its own, or it can stay exactly as it is. Nothing is being demanded from you right now. You might notice small shifts, or you might not notice anything at all. Both are equally acceptable. You can let your awareness rest loosely, without aiming it anywhere. If thoughts repeat, they can repeat. If they fade, they can fade. You don't need to follow the content of any thought, and you don't need to push it away. They can move through in their own time. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. This moment does not need improvement. Sometimes the mind looks for something to fix. You can allow things to stay unresolved. If your breathing changes, you don't need to guide it. If it stays the same, that's fine too. There is no correct rhythm here. You might notice that even without effort, some spaces begin to appear. Small gaps, not forced, not held. You don't need to stay with them. You don't need to protect them. They can come and go. Nothing is being lost when a thought returns. You are not required to keep your mind quiet. This is not a test, and there is nothing to succeed at. You can allow your experience to be exactly as it is. If there is restlessness, it doesn't need to be removed. If there is calm, it doesn't need to be deepened. Everything is allowed to be ordinary. You may notice that effort naturally decreases when nothing is required. There is no benefit in trying to relax more. Your system already knows how to settle on its own. When it is not being pushed, you don't need to watch your thoughts. You don't need to observe them closely. They can exist at a distance, like background noise you don't have to attend to. You can remain where you are without moving forward, without pulling away. There is no urgency here. Time does not need to be used. Nothing important is waiting at the end of this. If your attention drifts into stillness for a moment, you don't need to stay there. If it doesn't, that is equally fine. There's no preference being placed on any state. You are not required to feel better. You are not required to feel different. Sometimes allowing is enough. Sometimes nothing changes. Both are complete experiences. You can let this moment remain open, unfinished, without conclusion. There is nothing to close, nothing to resolve. You are allowed to rest without explanation. If the mind looks for meaning, it doesn't have to find any. You don't need to understand what is happening. Understanding can wait. This space does not demand clarity. You can let yourself be supported by nothing in particular. Awareness does not need an object. You can remain here without effort, and if effort appears, you don't need to remove it. Everything is allowed to pass through naturally. Nothing needs to be held on to. Nothing needs to be let go of deliberately. This moment is already complete. There is nothing else required right now. You can continue resting in this way.